welcome to OMG Revision. In this video we're going to be looking at urban change in an LIC NEE, and our case study is going to be Rio. So really important term that you need to remember word for word is the term urbanisation, and it's an increasing proportion of the world's population living in cities. Alright, now if we look at urbanisation around the world and the percentage of urban, we can see that usually more developed countries have got higher rates of urbanisation, whereas less developed countries have lower rates of urbanisation. Alright, and this is because generally these countries have already industrialised, so people have already moved to the cities, so the urbanisation has already taken place. However, if we look at the more developed regions moving forward, the rate of urbanisation is going to slow and taper off because people already live in the cities. And in less developed regions, it is actually going to increase as more and more people move to the cities and the proportion of population living there increases. Now, there's two main reasons urban areas are growing. The first one is rural to urban migration. So there's two types of factors you need to be aware of. In the countryside, there are push factors. These are bad things such as poor housing, poor harvests, the fact that farming is generally hard work, no hospitals, lack of education. Whereas in the city there are pull factors that are attracting people to these areas, such as more money because of more jobs, better education because of more schools, bigger choice of food, better quality housing, more transport infrastructure, more healthcare in terms of hospitals. So those are push, these are pull factors. The second one is natural increase. Now, natural increase is when the birth rate, which is the amount of babies born per 1,000 people per year, is higher than the death rate, which is the amount of deaths per 1,000 people per year. Now, as cities tend to attract younger migrants, it makes sense that they're more likely to have babies, less likely to die, and this increases natural increase. Now, as cities spread, you get something called urban sprawl, where the cities sprawl out into the countryside. However, this is a HIC with all the infrastructure and housing to deal with this spread. In LIC, so this is an example of Dharavi and Mumbai, there is simply not enough houses for all these people, so they start living in informal slum settlements. And this is our case study, an example of a city called Rio de Janeiro in South America, in Brazil, which has experienced the same. People are even living on really dangerous hillsides, building their houses there because there is no space in the city. So our case study we're going to look at in this video, a mega city with 10 million people or more, is Rio de Janeiro. So why is this place important nationally and internationally? First of all, it generates 5% of Brazil's GDP. So every $100 made in Brazil, 5 of them are made in this city. It's got a major port exporting products such as coffee, sugar and iron ore. It's got this huge statue called Christ the Redeemer, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world. It hosted the World Cup in 2014 and the Olympics in 2016. It's Brazil's capital of culture, and as a part of this, it has an annual carnival which not only attracts people from the whole of Brazil, but also other countries around the world. Now, land use in Rio is split up into different areas. So we've got the North Zone, which is the main industrial area. We've got the West Zone, which is now a very wealthy coastal suburb. We've got the South Zone, which has got many tourist hotels and the famous Copacabana beach. And we've also got the Centro Zone, which is the oldest part with many historic buildings. Alright, what you might see on maybe some official documentation or tourist documentation is an image that looks like this. A beautiful, modern, green city. Alright, what they won't show you is the amount of favelas that are in Brazil. Favela is the South American term for slum or shanty town, and they're all over the place. The biggest one is called Rio, and that's what we'll be learning most about. So if we look at how much of a contrast there is, here's Ipanema Beach with the beautiful hotels and apartments. plenty of money, rich. Right next to it is Rocinha, a really poor favela. So the contrast is stark. Now there's many opportunities and challenges in these favelas, focusing on Rocinha in particular. So a social challenge is only 55% of people have access to healthcare. That means 45% don't. However, a social opportunity and solution is trained medical staff have started going into the favelas up the hills and taking health kits to people's homes. Another social challenge is it's only compulsory to go to school until you're 14, and many drop out before then to try and earn money for their families. However, a social opportunity is that the Schools for Tomorrow programme is providing these people with free school uniform to encourage them to send their kids to school. Another social challenge is access to running water. So 12% of people do not have access to clean running water, and that can cause problems with sanitation and generally, quality of life when you're trying to do your cooking, washing, etc. However, social opportunities, 7 new water treatment plants have been built in Rio, which will help to solve this problem. Another social challenge is unreliability of energy. There are frequent blackouts, which not only affects day-to-day life, but think of industry, factories trying to make products, and suddenly the energy goes down. However, they have built a nuclear power plant in Rio, so this is a solution and an opportunity to solve this problem. Economic challenges now. Unemployment in the favelas is over 20%, with some as high as 30 to 40%. But economic opportunities, there are many formal jobs in Rio. So in the main part of Rio, formal jobs, not cash in hand jobs, jobs that you pay tax on your wages on, such as working in tourism, retail and construction. Another economic challenge is, we've just mentioned, the people working in the informal sector. This means the government can't collect tax, so they can't invest in Rio to develop it further. To try and solve this problem, again, the Schools for Tomorrow programme is trying to give education classes to adults to encourage them to get more formal jobs. Another social economic challenge is the fact that because jobs are either low paid or unavailable, people turn to crime in order to make money, and crime's a big problem in some of the favelas. However, solution and economic opportunity is the UPP, which stands for Pacifying Police Unit, has been developed, and police have gone in there with guns, pretty big guns, to rid the favelas of criminals, and that will benefit people's well-being and quality of life also. Environmental challenges now. Traffic congestion has led to air pollution. Because the roads are very narrow, the traffic moves slowly. Because it's not a HIC, many of the cars are older and less fuel efficient, there is a lot of air pollution, leading to the deaths of around 5,000 people per year. But an opportunity is they have built a cable car to discourage people from driving. So that is a really good environmental opportunity and piece of transport infrastructure. Another environmental challenge is 200 tonnes of raw sewage is dumped in Guanabara Bay every day. Okay, so that's causing contamination of the seawater. However, an opportunity is they've built 5 kilometres of sewage pipes in the most polluted areas to try and reduce this dumping into the ocean. Another environmental challenge is that favelas have narrow roads, so waste collection trucks find it pretty much impossible to get there, so the waste builds up and is often left on streets. However, a solution to this is they have built an incinerator that will burn the waste and recover energy from it, and it creates electricity for 1,000 homes. Okay, how do we manage the squatter settlements or the favelas, which is South American for shantytown? Now, you can pause now and read this slide, but ultimately this is about Rocinha, and it's got a population, but it says official population of 75,000 according to the 2010 census data. But although people often think, it's everybody's living in squalor and poverty, a lot of people are, have got TVs in their homes. 90% of houses are built with brick and they've got electricity and running water, and also it's got its own newspaper and radio station, and they also built a private university there. Alright, but there are many challenges more generally in squatter settlements. So construction of houses on steep hills is a big problem. They're poorly constructed and they're at risk of landslide, which will ultimately kill people. Services, we've already stated that 12% do not have running water, so it's a challenge to provide this water for people. Unemployment, as high as 20%, in some favelas it is even higher, with low average incomes of only £75 a month. There's a high murder rate, as many as 20 per 1,000 people in the favelas due to crime, and there's drug gangs that, the police are battling to get rid of. And also health, there's population densities of 37,000 people per kilometre squared, and treating all these people is difficult. But there has been some planning to try and help the urban poor, and the project we will study is the Favela Barrow project. Now, the Favela Barrow project had a $1 billion budget, and some of the things it was doing was paving and formally naming people's streets and homes, so they could actually have a postal address, so when they were applying for jobs and things, they had somewhere for the mail to come. Houses have been secured to the hillsides, so they've been pinned down to stop them collapsing. The UPP has been sent in and set up to reduce crime, and the cable car system has been built with residents getting one free return ticket every day. And we can see some images of before and after the Favela Barrow project took place. But has it been a success or failure? This $1 billion budget was also a part of its failure, because this money soon ran out. $1 billion doesn't go as far as you think. People have not been given skills to maintain their property, so they've got these beautiful new properties, but they've not got the skills to maintain them. And this is the same with the newly built infrastructure that's not being maintained. More education and training is needed to improve literacy, and although these areas have improved, which is great, it's actually put the rents up because these areas are more desirable, so the poor people it was trying to help are generally pushed away from these areas anyway. Now, you've got 3 tasks to choose from. You can create a poster that highlights all the challenges and opportunities in Rio de Janeiro. Task 2, imagine you are in charge of planning for the local authority. Write a 10-step plan of what you would do to improve the favelas. And finally, you create a sketch map that highlights all of the key human and physical features in Rio de Janeiro. And all 3 of these will be brilliant revision resources for the future.